Atlantic City, Salt Lake City, all these different, Vegas, all these places. And every single gym we went into was exactly the same. Every single gym you walked into. You walked in, there was a front desk, you looked to your right, there were some offices, then there was this cardio section with a bunch of TVs, then there was a free weight section where all the meatheads trained, and then there was a machine section where all the old ladies trained, then there was an aerobics room tucked in the corner in the back looking like a fishbowl that all the energy was in. And there was no community, and of course there was some nicer versions of that than other, but the baseline gyms were all the same. So when I created this vision board, it was to take my college football experience. So when you walk into a college football weight room, the music blasting, the chalk's flying, you got the softball team in the corner, everybody's got their shirts off. It's fun. It's an immediate energy. You walk in, you're like, whoa, what's going on here? So I hope you felt that yesterday.
I did.
What I want to do is recreate that in a commercial setting. So what I was thinking is like, okay, I have to build something that gives people an experience the moment they walk in and the entire time they're in there.
Right.
So I wanted people to feel something as soon as they walked in. I wanted the setup to set them up for results. Right. So I wanted the gym not to have sections. I wanted it to be fluid. So when you come to our gyms, you don't see these sectioned off places. You see the P.I.T class, our aerobics room in the middle of the gym. So everybody's feeding off that class. Then you have the legs and the upper body mixed in with cardio. So everything is meant to keep you moving and to keep you talking to your neighbor. There's no TVs. There's one big TV, but there's not like a lot of TVs. Right. So it keeps people off their headphones. We blast the music. And again, we're not for everybody. Like some people come and they're like, man, why is the music so loud? Stuff like that. But you're not part of our tribe, so it's all good. And I can't remember again where I'm going with this. I have so much stuff. Like when I get talking, I can't.
No, but
so yeah.
To your
point.
Oh,
why I started Legacy.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, to your point, you're right. It got to the point where gyms were all the same.
Yeah.
And that's what killed the experience for me going to the gym, because it sort of felt like, instead of like, unless you had like your tribe where you're going with your guys or whatever it was, by and large, it was like sort of like a boring experience. Now I feel like you have too many options nowadays, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of like, I've played sports my entire life, but I've always liked that rah-rah type of environment where you can scream, you can yell, you can kind of pump each other up. Not everybody loves that, right? But that's sort of what gives me energy, right? Like, the person who likes to play sports or whatever it is just my personality. So it seems like you're creating sort of that vision in your gym. So when you were creating that version of the gym, you were thinking about community. Did you feel like there was no community at the time when you were sort of like creating Legacy?
None. So at the time I was training at a gym, and I won't name it, but it, again, it was exactly what I just described. It was the same setup. And so when I had the opportunity to do this, I presented the poster board. He said, let's do it. Then it was time to find a location. So we hired like 3 different real estate people. They kept showing us location after location after location. And it just I'm a feeling kind of like, I can feel, so I have like real sick intuition. I'm just one of those people that if I know, I know. Yeah. And every time I walked in the space, it just felt wrong. So I was like, no. So one day I got on my bike and I just started riding around. And I went down this dead end street and saw this empty warehouse. And there was a homeless man shaving right in front of the warehouse. I think there was a couple of hookers on the street. And I was like, and I sat on the train tracks. And I was like, this is it. So I called him. He comes, and he's like, hell no. He's like, this is the worst part of Miami. And this is Wynwood. Oh, yeah. So this is Wynwood 2007. All right, way before Wynwood was Wynwood. And I kid you not, hookers on the street, crack houses on the street, homeless people on the street. It was and at night, the most sketchiest thing you've ever seen.
Why that location?
So for me, number one, I sat on the train, so the train tracks were right behind the thing. I sat on the train tracks and damn near heard an audible voice that this was it, like literally. So for me, it was just looking at it, and like all of a sudden it was just, this is it. And it was just powerful. Like it just told me this is it. Okay. And I refused to not do it there. It was like, this is it. And so we did it. And then, it was tough. It was bad. It was right after the recession. Yeah. Nobody's paying a personal trainer $200 an hour right after the recession. And the first year, 2 years, it was me in there basically by myself for 14, 16 hours, training only my clients because I couldn't find other trainers to be in that location and do all that. The very first year we flooded really bad, so my entire gym was underwater, and it was a struggle. But then about the third year, had some new people join me, started to turn things around. Then where it really kind of became like infamous, I wouldn't even say famous, but infamous, is when I started P.I.T. Back then it was called boot camp. Okay. So I started these boot camps Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. And after about doing it for like a month and a half, we had like over 100 people showing up. And and I was crazy back then, like wild. So, and when I say that, I mean like I was kicking people out of the class. I was driving people into the ground. Like people were crawling out of that place. It was back when you could like be, you didn't have all this, you know what I'm saying? So, I got it. So, I mean, they came in and it was the toughest workout they've ever gotten in their life. And it was very militant boot camp style. And then, obviously you have to evolve. You have to in anything, you can't remain the same. If you're not growing and learning and kind of evolving, then you're gonna die. You know what I mean? So I started to pay attention to, okay, I'm rubbing this person the wrong way. Okay, this and that. And then a friend of mine named Louis Barone told me to read a book called The E-Myth Seminar by Michael E. Gerber. And I literally read the entire thing on the Arc Trainer, which is like elliptical. Okay. I read the entire thing on the Arc Trainer. And I got off there, and basically what it is how to set up systems. And so it's about how to make the business work for you, not work in the business. Right. And so I immediately started applying systems, and then I called one of my potential investors. He never did invest, but he was kind of giving me like advice and stuff. And I told him what I was gonna do. And he said, it's not gonna work. He's like, if you stop training, the whole place will stop. If you stop this, if you stop that, whatever. And so I listened to him for about 30 seconds, and I was like, nah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I stopped. So I literally stopped. And when I say stop training, I stopped teaching the class. Okay. So I started to pour in to the other coaches and teach them the system, the partner interval system. And how that system came about, because this is a fun story, and I think y'all appreciate it, is I used to double book clients all the time on purpose. So like, there's only so many hours in the day. Yeah. So what I would do is like, if I had an 8 o'clock client, then I would get another 8 o'clock client. And then if they because what happens is a lot of times people don't show up for their session. So if they didn't show up for their session, then it was great because then I had somebody else to train and I never lost money.